Hey guys, Jonathan here for Film Scoring Practice. I wanted to do this video on a question that kind of popped up and caught my eye, so I thought I'd do a quick video on it. So this question comes from Jenny. So these first two questions are kind of one and the same, but I'll kind of try to separate them. When composing in Logic Pro 10, at completion of that, what's the process for mixing and exporting to a client? Do I render all tracks, audio before and after mixing? I'll answer this one right now. You want to try to do it after you've mixed. For instance, if you're trying to do a mix on a particular violin, you want a particular sound on that violin, you want to bounce after you've done that mix. That's a short answer for that one. Once it's mixed, do I export individual tracks as stems or sections as stems if that's possible? Yes to all of the above. So I'm going to kind of break this down for you. So this is a cue that I just did for this demonstration, stem bouncing, whatever. So I'll play it for you as I've mixed it and mastered it, and then I'll show you how I would send it to a mastering engineer. Here you go. Okay, there you go. So here's the thing that I like to do. When I'm sending something to a mastering engineer for a particular cue, I want to make sure that I have whatever region that I'm bouncing selected. So for this instance, we're going to do just the first violins. And you would do this, I do this for every single track. I bounce every single track individually just in case something happens. I capture the beginning and I capture the absolute silence at the very end. You don't want anything to be cut off. The mixing engineer is going to get really mad at you because he's going to have to go through and recreate an ending for that so that it sounds complete. So you want to just make sure that you're making his job as easy as possible. So when you do that, I'm in Logic Pro 10, and this will apply to all DAWs everywhere. This particular key command. So I'm going to go up here. I'm not going to use the key command. Go into bounce. And let's see. No, I'll just the key command. I'm used to it. Command B. It brings up this window. I'm just going to bounce it as an MP3. Now I've already bounced it, so I'm not going to do this again. I've set up this stem bouncing project, and in my bounces folder, I've created 3 different folders. If you don't know how to do that, there's a folder right down here. You just click this, click new folder, and then give it whatever name you want. So I have 3 different folders: individual tracks, mix and master, sections. So I'll kind of move this over here. You can see what I'm doing. So in this individual tracks, I've bounced just the violin. In this sections, I've bounced just the strings. So that's bass, cello, viola, violin, 1, 2. And then in my mix and master, I've done how I believe it should sound and what kind of where my head was at when I was writing this piece. So that's really helpful for the mixing engineer, because then they can kind of say, oh yeah, that's really, really good. I kind of see where you're going. Here's, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to elevate it just that much. Another thing that you want to make sure that you do is when you're bouncing something out and it's just this individual or just the section, you want to go into your mixer and you want to make sure everything is disabled as far as effects. Not necessarily on your instrument channel, but in your bus and your mastering chain or your output chain. Because if you have an EQ here, you don't want to you don't want to not have that in there because you've selected that EQ. Maybe your strings were too bright. You wanted to warm them up. You want to keep that in there because it's going to be your sound. That's going to be the thing that makes you you for that particular track. Okay, so I hope I answered that little portion of it. The last question: when exporting, how do I convey the time code for each stem to the client? So if you're going to send it to the mixing engineer, the mastering engineer, or whoever else it may be, I created this template, and I use this template all the time for any film that I'm working on. So it's a spotting template, basically. So up here, I've got the name of the project, so I can put that in as what you call it, stems. And the length is 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 24 seconds. Okay. And so down here, you can fill out each one of these boxes. Each one of these sections, you can copy and paste and make as many as you need. So it's very modular that way. Now, I don't know if this template works with Excel. I'm using pages or numbers on Mac, so I think it will. So you can name your cue. So if you wanted to name it, 1M1 and then put in parentheses, opening chase scene. Okay. Let's say it starts so in here, I have the in time, the out time, and then it calculates the length. So if I have in at 1 minute, 15 seconds, and whatever frames, and it's out at 2, 10, 10, the total length is going to be 55 seconds and 10 frames, which is kind of cool. So I'll just arbitrarily change these. So let's say I'm working on this next scene, and it's and it punches in at 15 minutes, 12 seconds, and 17 frames, and it punches out at let's do 17 minute. Oops, 217. Jeez. We'll just call it 20 minutes, 10 frames, 10 seconds. It gives me a total running time for that piece of 4 minutes, 57 seconds, and 53. I have these set to seconds. Sorry. Yeah, but you can go through and you can just keep in mind how you have these labeled. So I think I have these labeled as seconds and milliseconds. That's what it is. So seconds, milliseconds. Then your scene title, you can put the scene title back down here. The description of the scene, just type in here, car chase, cue type, action. This cue is scored. So for this little section, I like to put either an X for no or a Y for yes. That way, or you can do N for no, Y for yes. What is the emotion of this piece? What is the main instrument? Is this going to be orchestral or small ensemble? So it keeps everything really handy, really organized. It shows you exactly what you have and haven't done. So I'll post this along with the video. Yeah, and again, this is all modular, so you can add and subtract whatever you want. These little boxes are for extra notes. So if you have a scene title and you need a director's note in here, you can put it in there and down here. So I hope that helps. I hope this whole video helped you. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to let me know. And yeah, I guess we'll talk to you later. Happy scoring.